was, for me, like a rehearsal.
There will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic. It may be next year.
You know, we just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembly. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembly.
We know what's next. A new wave of pandemics is going to be upon us.
I'm convinced that there will be another pandemic.
Oh, certainly we'll have one in the next 25 years. You know, there's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now. And so I'd probably put bioterror, which is a really awful bioterror, which is a really awful.
You're watching OTT TV Scripture Reality.
You're watching OTT TV Scripture Reality, and this is a highly censored update for January of 2026. I'm going to be going over the V.A.E.R.S data for the adverse reactions of the mRNA vaccine. And these numbers go all the way back from March 11th of 2020 till now. Also, keep in mind that only 1% gets reported. Doctors are often kept away from reporting these figures to the V.A.E.R.S database. And unfortunately, some doctors aren't even aware of the fact there is a database for it, or it's often misdiagnosed as long COVID or other things. So let's get started. And keep in mind that this represents 1%. According to Catherine Austin Fitz, it's estimated that 22 million people have died worldwide from this vaccine. Okay, folks. So getting back to the United States and the continental U.S., there have been 2,703,053 severe adverse reactions recorded from this mRNA technology. And also, too, know that it's not just the COVID vaccines that are mRNA technology now. The flu vaccine is, and other shots are starting to become mRNA too. So if you're somebody who does get vaccines, you should check first and make sure if they're mRNA technology or not before you go forward. Okay. There have been 58,462 people passed away from this technology. That's 58,462 people here in the continental United States. There have been 313,523 people hospitalized from this vaccine. There have been 24,432 people develop Bell's palsy from this vaccine. And that's where you lose the ability to control the nerves in your face, like half your face will slump and stuff like that. There have been 13,576 anaphylaxis reports reported to the database for this vaccine. There have been 7,310 miscarriages. And keep in mind that these women wanted their children, so these babies were murdered. and that's 7,310 miscarriages from this vaccine, because this vaccine is made to sterilize. Even if you haven't had this vaccine, just simply breathing in the shedding of the exosomes can accumulate in your body and cause you to become sterile. There have been 32,061 heart attacks and survived. So these people developed heart issues from this vaccine, had a heart attack, and can still tell their story. That's 32,061 people, severe heart attacks, and survived. There have been 34,536 cases of myocarditis and pericarditis. And if you're somebody that's been watching these highly censored updates, you know that I showed Jessica Rose, Dr. Jessica Rose, and her data from the Heart Association. The American Heart Association is also keeping track of myocarditis from this vaccine, and their number's higher. There have been 93,798 people permanently disabled. So that's approaching 100,000 people that are permanently disabled. And keep in mind that some of these people took the vaccine because they were told to keep their jobs. There have been 84,781 allergic reactions severe. That's 84,781 allergic reactions. And a lot of that's shingles. Another number we have is 13,217 people developed low platelet from these vaccines. That's 13,217 people developed low platelet from these vaccines. Okay, going forward. So something to keep in mind too is that if you develop long COVID, odds are that you have too much spike protein toxicity in your body. And there are things that you can do to try to lower this, like nanokinase. You can take NAC, methylcobalamin, B12, zinc, vitamin C, and try to flush it, stay hydrated, keep up on your electrolytes, and try to get fresh air if you're starting to feel like you're getting sick from it. This does cause infections, and there's so many variables when it comes to the shedding of the spike protein. Dr. Krouson has found a direct cause of myocarditis and pericarditis from the mRNA vaccines. And like I was just saying, also keep in mind that Dr. Jessica Rose found data about myocarditis and pericarditis in the American Heart Association. And she also found that there was underreporting going on to the V.A.E.R.S system. There's more reports going to the American Heart Association of this myocarditis caused by mRNA than there was to the CDC. Okay, I got this video with Dr. Krouson's findings for you.
First, the mRNA is injected within lipid nanoparticles in your arm. It travels to every organ system, including the heart. And there's two papers, one by V.A.E.R.S and colleagues, one by Krouson and colleagues. Krouson found mRNA directly in the heart of deceased mRNA recipients. So we know it reaches the heart. V.A.E.R.S found the spike protein directly in the heart in biopsies of patients with vaccine-induced myocarditis. So we know the vaccine mRNA and lipid nanoparticles get into the heart, translate into spike protein, so your cardiomyocytes begin to produce a toxic, non-human protein. And in your own body, it attacks the heart, resulting in inflammation and cardiac scarring, including micro scars, which are undetectable with imaging. You can only detect it with a microscope, which is very disturbing. And so once you have this scarring, you're going to have cardiac electrical abnormalities, electrical conduction abnormalities, and your heart's not going to beat properly. And then when you go exercise, we found there's two triggers, either during exercise or sports when there's exertion, or during the morning waking hours of sleep. In these two periods of time, there's a surge in catecholamines, including dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. And so during these times, when you have this cardiac damage, when you have this scarring, that's the trigger usually that leads to this vaccine-induced cardiac arrest. And that's why we saw a lot of sudden deaths among athletes back in 2021.
Okay, if you have been watching my show since I started these highly censored updates, I started warning about this technology in 2019. And my first episode, I would say, was probably April of 2020. And that episode is called Never Say I Never Warned You. And back then I was showing the people who passed away from this technology. And I would show their face and their names and where they lived and what they died, how they died from their vaccine to show respects. But the numbers kept growing, and I stopped showing it in that way and started showing it in just bulk numbers, because there's just too many people to go through and give respects to every single person. Also, keep in mind that, well, it's easy to make fun of these people because they fell for the trick. I get it. I see it all the time. But at the same time, I mean, you got to have some compassion for these people, because you should have been able to trust the doctors. You should have been able to trust these people. And if you're viewing my show, you already know better. You know you can't trust these people. And you may be aware of the 1993 Paris Accord we signed into, and 192 countries agreed to depopulate. And they want this all done by 2030, and it's not a game. Okay, folks? Okay, Senator Ron Johnson shows the growing evidence of mRNA deaths and sickness. And this is recent. This is about a month ago. And he goes over a bulk of 800 pages of data showing that this vaccine is toxic and very deadly. Now, this vaccine is designed to transform you less than it is to kill you. But most people die from the transformation. And note that if you've been watching my show since the beginning, you'll know that the Supreme Court ordered and issued that if you took this shot, you are human 2.0 and you are property of whatever company vaccinated you. And that's a fact. Okay, here's that video from Senator Ron Johnson.
My committee's got now over 8 million pages of information. Just in the first tranche, by the way, what we discovered is that CDC, somebody in the federal health agencies, this interagency communication, hid the signal. They admitted there was a signal on myocarditis, and they hid it. They didn't warn the public. They didn't warn doctors. So that's just one instance of corruption and lies told by the CDC. We've got a lot of others we'll be rolling out, okay? So we held our first hearing and permanent subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal of myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies, okay? As I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupted. Here's data, and I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021, when I'm on, for example, talk radio shows and they talk about this, they get deplatformed, or they were, because of all the censorship during the Biden administration. Here's the facts. The V.A.E.R.S system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But V.A.E.R.S shows that there have been 38,742 deaths reported on V.A.E.R.S worldwide associated with the COVID vaccine. 38,742. 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days.
I have Dr. Zelenda has evidence of graphene in these vaccines. Now, like I said before, if you've been watching my show, you have seen the evidence from Dr. Ricardo Delgado out of Columbia University in the 5th column. And back then in 2022, they were using microscopes and finding these micro routers and nano self-assembling technology in the blood of the vaccinated. And I was so happy when this happened, because up till then, I only had myself and what I thought. And I had my little cartoon video that I got from AstraZeneca that you've all seen many times. So when I read these schematics in 2019, I studied the best I could on these vaccines, and I did the best I could report. And I lost my family and friends. They called me crazy. And, in 2022, when this college came out with this information, it helped verify me. And I am so glad that it happened.
Soy la doctora Liliana Celada Ruc del 2025. Esta es una gota de sangre de una persona que tiene 2 inoculaciones de Pfizer y que ahora está con lupus. Ya perdió el ojo izquierdo, está perdiendo el ojo derecho y se siente muy mal. Esta es la luz frontal del microscopio y esto podría ser fácilmente una vacuna. Así se ve el hidrogel en las vacunas. O sea, ya hemos visto por otros científicos que la sangre también está contaminada. Miren, todo esto Y nada, queremos saber qué es todo esto. Impresionante. ¿Cómo ilumina? Yo no sé cómo se vería la gota de una sangre normal, pero aquí es muy parecido al hidrogel que estamos viendo con la nanotecnología incluida en las vacunas. ¿Ve? Ahí esas burbujas son exactamente igual. Y eso está en la sangre. En la sangre ya me imagino que de todo el mundo. Es impactante. Entre medio las cintas, un montón de cositas negras, probable grafeno. Aquí hay uno muy grande también. Eso está ahí. Ahí hay otra cinta. Cómo ilumina, impresionante. Ahí hay otra cinta. Más grafeno. Y la paciente cada día peor. No saben qué hacer, cómo tratar. El cáncer aumentó, el lupus aumentó, las enfermedades inmunodepresivas aumentaron, pero por montón. Ahí hay más cositas. Esto está lleno, realmente es impresionante. Y las autoridades nada. El pedido y nada, ellos no les interesa. Bueno, ahí está la prueba de que hay una contaminación tremenda. No se necesita ser muy conocido del tema para saber qué es todo esto que está ahí. Miren el tamaño, cómo se va formando.
Since then, 4 countries have concluded this, including Japan, which you would have saw on my show. And you'd also find that Harvard in March of last year in 2025 has also confirmed these things. And more colleges and universities are coming to the truth, and so are other countries. And there's 4 countries that have warrants for Bill Gates' arrest. One of the countries wants him to actually show himself in court and not do it over a video feed. But every time something opens up, it gets shut down again. So we'll see what happens, All right, going forward. Okay, my next video is going to be Catherine Austin Fitz, and she's going over this mRNA technology, the smart tech, and Stargate.
We go with vaccines again. This is Operation Warp Speed 2.0. So remember, Trump funded Operation Warp Speed 1.0. He authorized it. He put $18 billion behind it. Now we're talking about $500 billion. It was presented as private investment. I'm calling hooey on that. It's not private investment because a lot of the people involved are government contractors, and now that we're running the government finances on a secret basis, you're not going to come up with this $500 billion privately. It's based one way or another. It's coming through the government. So this is a Manhattan kind of project to win at AI. Now, if the cover story is vaccines and they're really serious, what you need to know is that mRNA vaccines, first of all, it's not a vaccine. I'm assuming they're calling it a vaccine because they want indemnification. mRNA technology is poison. It's toxic. There is an excellent book that Suchrit Bhakti and Dr. Michael Palmer wrote from Doctors for COVID Ethics. It's up at Solari. It's up at the Doctors for COVID Ethics. It's called mRNA Vaccine Toxicity. Mary Holland wrote the foreword. I wrote the afterword. And it explains in great detail what a killing technology this is. So we're talking about technology that, we know of as of today, based on Denny Rancourt's work, Mark Skidmore's work. This has killed and disabled millions of people. And so the notion that we're going, and you need indemnification. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you're injecting mRNA technology into people, you need indemnification, because financially you can't afford to kill that many people without being indemnified, right? So this is very dangerous stuff. And there are two things that are dangerous to the average person. One is they're going to take all your data, including private healthcare data, consolidate it into an operation where it can be consolidated with all other data in a way that builds a digital control grid. This is the infrastructure for the digital concentration camp. But second, if they really do give people mRNA technologies or inject us with mRNA, a lot of people are going to die. And what's frightening is we've seen that the adverse event coming off of mRNA injections is cancer. So now, let me take you back. I just want to take you back to before the COVID injections rolled out. I receive a business newsletter, which I find to be very accurate and very good. And I think it was the summer of 2020, before the injections rolled out, they started in December, I got a copy, and they had just a little paragraph or so that said, investors are very excited about what they're going to get with mRNA technology, because after COVID injections are made, they're going to make injections. And then they proceeded to describe a whole series of diseases that were in fact the adverse events from vaccines. So if you look at the business model, it's fantastic, because you give people poison, they get symptoms of toxicity, then you declare those disease, and then you make another poison to give them. Do you know what I mean? And around you go. It's an incredibly profitable financial treadmill. And we have seen investors all around the world being proposed to build these huge mega factories of just-in-time vaccines. So this is happening not just in the U.S., but if my feedback from the investment community is correct, these mega factories are being built all around the world, and they're planning. Now, finally, here's the question. The people who've been making this stuff, when the injections come out and get injected, what we're finding in the materials is all sorts of materials that nobody knows what they are. So we have secret ingredients again. So the question is, for the healthcare component of this, what's the real goal? And your guess is as good as mine. But if you look at how extraordinarily dangerous mRNA technology is, what you need to know is, one, you've got a real privacy issue here, because you have many of the top contractors, government contractors, private corporations in the world, who's going to have unbelievable access to all your data. They're going to have more data on you than you have on you, because it's going to be 24/7 coming in on the, sort of the digital technology. So you've got a real privacy issue, number one. And number two, if there's any effort to force you to take this stuff, you're really talking about a mass atrocity. So this is Warp Speed 2.0, combined with an incredible competition between us and China over AI. And it's extraordinary. And one of the things that was interesting is if you look at the record of Ellison and Altman, who we could go into, it was remarkable that the president would stand up and propose putting $500 billion into their pocket to do these things. So I would say if you were the people who've been supporting Trump on the theory that he's going to help Americans end the great poisoning, it's sure to say you were sadly disappointed. And the only thing I could do to make you feel better is, I think the real goal here is to build the data center infrastructure for a control grid and a digital ID and an all-digital financial system. Healthcare is just the excuse.
Now, with this whole Stargate thing, They're planning on personalizing every single shot for every single American based on your genetic code. And, all the sampling they've done with this, where you can do the humangenealogy.com and all that, that was nothing but data collecting so they can get this information. And then we're going to go over what Larry Ellison has said. And he's one of the financiers behind this and organizers behind this new Plantier system, which, if you know anything about Plantier, it's a computer system that's tracking every single video feed in the whole country and every single bit of data, and it's all being cross-analyzed, and it's all going to be for the new system. The new monetary system is going to be digital, and you're going to have your vaccine ID to go forward. And you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without it. And that's why there's unique identifiers and nano routers and even a human Bluetooth MAC address that comes off every single person who's taken this vaccine. If you've been watching my show, you know that I've proven this over and over again. I had the funniest feeling reading in data that people would have a MAC address of some sort or some kind of Bluetooth signal. I did my own research and with the flat phone and Dollar General back in 2020. I covered all this. Since then, it's been proven by colleges and by people. I actually have a video, if you go back through on BitChute, and I actually have a video that teaches you how to change schematics in your smartphone so you can pick up the Bluetooth signal that comes from the vaccinated. And other people who do TV shows like me have went on planes with people. The reason why they went on the plane is so they can pick up their address and show them, because all equipment's turned off. They have went by graveyards. They can pick up the signal. And also, too, if you recall, I have episodes on luciferase, and I show the black light that you need to buy that you can scan. You can hit people's veins in their arms and their wrist. And also, too, it's noted that people who are fully vaccinated with all their boosters are starting to build up luciferase dots on their face. And it looks like they're building a QRC code, which is interesting because you won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without said mark. And it's going to be on their forehead and their right hand. I also show in my past videos that in the airports, they are scanning these people as they walk in to see if they're giving off a glow from their forehead and right hand. And this shot does remove the VMAT2 gene, which is Yahweh's name in your body. Okay, so it removes the VMAT2 gene. It sets up an antigen factory so that you're shedding spike protein and bacteria. Okay. All right. Now, going forward, here's that video.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras, it's AI that's looking at the camera. No, you can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm's going to go off, it's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. If there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
So now I have some video feed of people, of this woman with her face under the black light. And it looks like she's starting to have a HQRC code on her face. And that is really amazing. And, this self-assembling technology is like Livewire. It's really high tech. And if you guys have ever seen, if you haven't, I suggest you go back and look for my video. It's called It's in the Circuitry. And I have a doctor on there, and I can't remember his name offhand, but he was hired by Germany in 2007 to find out why all their plants were dying and their butterflies, and he came down to circa 2025, which is the weaponized 5G, 6G, and the shot. And now it's interesting because he was pointing out that the 5G can grow this nanotechnology, like energize it to grow, but it was just suspicions and very little evidence back then. Okay. But in the video, it's really amazing, and I suggest you watch it twice because he says a lot of things that are coming out now. Now, if you go to Dr. Delgado from the University of Columbia, they actually grow these things in a lab using the 5G towers. Now, these things that they're growing were named Margellans by the old doctor from Germany, 2007. And if you grow these fibers in your body, it's called Margellans disease. Okay. So that's just really getting out there. And it's really proof of why they have all this stuff up and why they're doing what they're doing. Because if you ever seen a cell tower, they're super tall with big round, like satellite things on them. 5G is not for your phones. Okay. Okay. Getting into luciferase quantum dot. So every single piece of luciferase is unique. And that's why it's going to be used as a unique identifier. Now, this new monetary system it's going to be tied to is going to give you an allowance. You can only use so much on meat every month, so much on gas every month, and so forth, okay?
Emotionally, it is easy to dismiss the work of Dr. Anna Maria Mielchia, for it is very disturbing. But her work is shown through scientific testing and backed up by government and NGO documentation. And the evidence shows that humanity has already been infected with cutting-edge surveillance nanotechnology. This is a follow-up to my last report on Dr. Mielchia's hydrogel research. New research shows that those who received the COVID shots emit a fluorescent orange glow in their faces that is visible under a UV light of 365 nanometers. And those who have been exposed to shedding emit this glow around their nose. After his wife was coerced into getting the COVID shot, PhD Justin Coy began his own research. He found that the more shots a person received, the more they glowed under UV light. The glow can be seen initially around the nose, and over time spreads throughout the entire face and into the neck. After a hot shower, filaments are expelled through the skin of the vaxxed, and these filaments also emit a glow under UV light. These filaments not only glow, but they have been shown to move on their own in spastic movements. And they are also attracted to people. In videos, they can be seen trying to latch onto a finger. And when a person who has received the shot has dry skin, these expelled filaments will become airborne. This could explain how shedding occurs from the vaxxed to the unvaxxed. The Pfizer trial document stated that an unvaxxed individual in close proximity to someone who's been vaxxed can be infected by inhalation and skin contact. In 2008, a biological nanotechnology pesticide designed to kill the brown moth in the state of California was deployed and appears to have included the same sort of fluorescent invisible microdye that we see in the scientific research. Dr. Hildegard Staninger tested individuals exposed to this nanotech pesticide and found that a glow could be detected in their eyes under UV light. Dr. Staninger called this the Eye of Horus effect due to its similar appearance, and claimed it was due to the use of fluorescent thiocyanate in the pesticide, which according to the literature would have been used to track the effectiveness of the dispersal. The idea has been around for decades. The Institute for National Security Studies' Non-Lethal Weapons Terms and References, published in 1997, discusses an invisible infrared dye which is visible under UV light so that rioters can be later identified. Justin Coy points out how the genetic code for luciferase, a bioluminescent enzyme found in nature, is included in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, along with SV40, which could theoretically allow the luciferase to be written into the genetics of the recipient. Coy proposes that this could be what is causing the vaxxed to glow under UV light, The TRACE Act, H.R. 6666, COVID-19 Testing, Research, and Contacting Everyone Act, was introduced in May of 2020. The bill authorizes the Centers for Disease Control to contact, trace, and monitor the population. In late 2020 and early 2021, people all over the world started noticing purple streetlights, which is the color of UV light. The quantum dot tattoo research funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation provided a way of detecting whether or not a person was vaccinated by including fluorescent medical information in the vaccines. Invisible near-infrared tattoos that would imprint beneath the skin to later be read by customized smartphones. In the scientific literature on quantum dot research, these fluorescent medical information tattoos have a similar appearance to the faces of those infected by the vax under UV light. You may or may not believe in biblical prophecy, but it seems clear that the ones running this diabolical program are using it as their playbook. From Revelation 13, and the second beast required all people small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark. But never forget, we still have free will. Greg Reese reporting.
This is the patent for nanostructure platform for cellular interfacing and corresponding manufacturing process. Look down here, take a look at the dates, 2020. The status is active. You can see the anticipated expiration is 2038. Abstract. The invention relates to a platform for cellular interfacing, comprising at least one nanoprobe based on nanowires, each of which comprises a conductive end intended to be in contact with a cell. According to the invention, such a platform comprises at least one field effect transistor, referred to as nano-FET, placed at a predetermined distance from said nanoprobe. All of this technology, all of it is in the COVID test. So it said that it's a nanoprobe based on nanowires. It also says field effect transistor known as nano-FET. Right down here you'll see COVID-19 detection via silicon nanowire field effect transistor. And it was talking about probes because PCR probes are labeled DNA, RNA molecules used in real-time PCR to detect and quantify specific DNA sequences by generating a fluorescent signal only when they bind to their target. And just like this paper says, nanomaterials in PCR, exploring light-to-heat conversion mechanisms and microfluidic integration. Right here, it tells you that it's used for amplifying amounts of DNA and RNA into different tissues and blood and so on. So they use nanoparticles such as carbon nanotubes, graphene, quantum dots, gold. And in this paper says that FET is for interfacing. It's a biocyber interface. Looking at the classifications, ion-sensitive or chemical field effect transistors involving nano-sized elements, nanotubes, nanowires. We have nanotechnology for interacting, sensing, or actuating. Quantum dots as markers in protein assays or molecular motors. Right down here you'll see manufacturing methods specially adapted for producing sensors for in vivo measurements, which is in the body, characterized by the manufacture of electrodes. Boom, this paper right here, rapid microelectrode array sensors for SARS-CoV-2 and other RNA viruses. Yeah. Detecting, measuring, or recording bioelectric or biomagnetic signals of the body or parts thereof. Nanowire, nanosheet, or nanotube, semiconductor bodies oriented parallel or substrates. You can read the rest of those if you would like. The domain states the present technique relates to the fields of nanostructures and more particularly nanostructures intended for capturing biological phenomena. More particularly, the present technique relates to a platform for measuring and stimulating neural type cells or even cardiomyocytes, and more generally to any type of cell from which it is conceivable to capture an electrical or electrophysiological activity, which may be cultures, disassociated cells, neurons, cardiac muscle cells, etc., organ tissue cultures, or tissue slices, and all that. You can read the rest. Now, if you take a look at the highlighted area right here, it gives an example of a neural probe sensor array. Yes, you can pause if you would like to read that. So as with most patents, it goes into very detailed explanations about how it works, how they make it, all that.
Be the next mRNA platform, vaccine platform that they try and roll out at a wide scale. So first in 2019, Gates funded a study for the original development of these quantum dot implants. So it's a microneedle patch array. So it's got a bunch of mini needles. It's like a Band-Aid. You put it on your wrist, it dissolves, and it installs these quantum dot materials that last for at least 5 years. So they developed that in 2019. Now in 2025, Gates funded another study that shows just how advanced now this technology has become. It is advancing at a very fast pace. Now these microneedle patches can install literal quantum dot QR codes that can be read with AI with specialized cameras and decoded to store batch information, lot number, how many doses you received. There you go. They put it on the pig. That's what it looks like. It's a literal QR code. You will be marked. This lasts, again, for years, perhaps permanently. And this will be used as a biological vaccine passport system where you won't use your phone. You won't use the QR code on your phone to enter the store and travel. You will use your wrist where this material is embedded in your body. And so this is very dangerous. And this even earned a spot at the 2025 Global Vaccine Forum, where they had their own session on these microneedle patch implants. So this is planned for wide-scale deployment for another pandemic.
Luciferase, unique identifier. Luciferase is being used in the vaccine program to assist in identifying the vaccinated. This will play a role with the 6G Li-Fi purple streetlights and any checkpoints. There has been an increase in blacklight LED production and sales. I want to show you folks too. I got one. I don't know when I might need this, but if you shine this light onto their veins, onto their arms, they'll glow purple. See, I'm proving I'm not vaccinated, okay? But you can get about 20 bucks, you could buy one of these, and I suggest doing it because when everything collapses, if you have friends, family, anyone like that that's living with you, and you want to help other people, you want to be able to check to see if they're vaccinated before you let them in your home or before you put them in your car. And I know that sounds kind of whacked out, but there is showing spike proteins from their mouth that can make you sick, folks. So keep that in mind. I got mine for about 20 bucks. It's really neat. All right, moving forward. Oh, I also want to point out too that when I was trying to order that, a lot of them were out of stock. So it makes you kind of wonder if government agencies are buying them all up because, like I said, here in America, they're going to, roundabout is not a normal thing in America. For my viewers in Europe, we don't have roundabouts in America, but we do now. We've been putting them up for about 10 years, and I'm telling you, it's going to make the best checkpoints ever. For their 15-minute cities they plan on making, they're going to have checkpoints where they don't let you pass outside your area. This is all coming down, folks. My next episode, I'm going to have updates from Davis. As I'm recording this right now, they're still in progress. So I'll have updates what's going on over there. But this is getting bad, folks, because the next declaration of emergency hands all the powers over to the World Health Organization. And I think that's when they're going to implement their 15-minute cities. So wait and see, folks, huh? There's been numerous videos on social media of the unvaccinated making their veins glow with a black light.
Listen, guys, now I'm really worried. This is where I got the shot, the second shot. Look at this. It's glowing. Now I go down my arm and it gets worse. I have a little dot here, but the worst part, look at the vein in my hand. It glows. That is sick. Why is this doing this? Can someone tell me? Look at that. Look at that. It's glowing. And that's exactly where I got the shot. And now my hand in my vein is glowing. Why the hell is this doing this? What the hell is in this? What is in this shit?
Check this out, guys.
What?
I'm Leanne from Red Pill Crew. I've had my vaccine. Today. Rosie, shine the light on me. Oh, I can't do it at the same time. Shine it there. Nearer to that dot. Oh, jeez, look at that. I've had my vaccine, Rosie. What do you think? What's happening? Come on, shine it on my hand. Oh my God. What have they put in that vaccine? Do you think I should have had the vaccine?
No.
Essa minha injeção nesse braço aqui, ó. Presta atenção nesse braço aqui. Tá? Ali tá a luz negra. Tá? Então vamos lá, ó. Esse braço aqui. E a luz negra ali. Agora eu vou chegar aqui, ó.
Por esses atores, nós podemos ter assim confusão. Tudo que se faz com prova.
Aqui, ó.
Se faz com indícios.
Aqui é onde eu tomei a injeção, ó. Olha aqui, ó.
A Bárbara já se mostrou aqui.
Injeção na vacina, né?
Processualista aqui na sua manifestação inicial.
Aqui, ó.
Mas eu quero citar um artigo do Código de Processo Penal Militar, é o artigo 382, que ele diz o seguinte:
Meu braço me ficou.
a circunstância ou fato conhecido.
I have a small video of an airplane security using the X-ray security cameras and picking up luciferase in their foreheads and in their right arms. This is interesting, folks. So, in this airport scene, one of the employees is using his cell phone and recording, and if you watch the monitors, some of the people are vaccinated and you can see the glowing in their forehead and in their right hand. It's really interesting. Now they're not pulling them off to the side yet, but the system's in place. Here's that video feed for you.
They do a close-up of the screen, and you can see the foreheads lighting up and the arms lighting up. That's from the vaccines, from the luciferase in the vaccines.
Which makes sense because the people who told me that they were pulled aside.
Yep, they were pulled aside.
Wow. Okay.
All right, so this video is at the airport. This is showing the scanning equipment, and they do a close-up of the screen, and you can see the foreheads lighting up and the arms lighting up. That's from the vaccines, from the luciferase.
Now, guys, if you're just joining us, don't freak out. They're not doing this in North America. They're not scanning because we're not even doing the passports right now. They're doing this in other parts of the world. And I believe this scanner they've set up, I believe that might even be in America. But you're seeing that they're getting ready for this, and they can see a glow on the people that have been vaccinated in certain parts.
In the vaccines.
Which makes sense because the people who told me that they were pulled aside.
Yep.
So where are we at now? Well, I used to have a series called Final Countdown, where I show the financial side of everything. Coming to this end of the month, we have $8 trillion payment we have to make on our debt, plus an additional $1 trillion for the interest. And the Fed has announced they're not going to buy it back and reissue a loan. So we're going to have to print our way out. So this is going to be the beginning of the end of our economy. How long is it going to take to drain out? I have no idea. But all the money is coming back. It's being sent back in bonds. They don't want our money. It's no good. And I was one of the first, not bragging, but I was one of the first to cover the BRICS monetary system. It has taken over worldwide, and countries no longer need to use SWIFT for their transactions, so we can't sanction other countries. And stealing the 3 vessels of oil from Venezuela is just exacerbating the problem. 2 of those were meant to go to Iran, and it's causing disruption in their economy. And 1 of those boats were supposed to go to Russia, which has them very upset. Everything that's going on here is just part of the plan. The agenda is to have the population lowered by 2030, and they're going to use war to achieve that goal. I feel like not as many people died from this vaccine as they were hoping would. So they're going to go to the war stage while still giving out these vaccines, because keep in mind, these vaccines are going to be the new monetary system going forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed my show. I'm going to be working on a next highly censored update. I did lose access to the V.A.E.R.S data system because they took down Dr. Laverne Coleman's access point that I was using. But luckily, he put up another access point and hit it, and I was able to find it. So going forward, I will be having updates from these guys again. My goal is to do 1 episode a month. And I'm going to start working on my next show, so it's really good with plenty of content and plenty of new information on these shots. But just keep in mind that, the more that people take this, the more the transition is taking place in this world, and the closer we get to their final stage. Just keep close to Christ and pray, and try to keep yourself away from large amounts of crowds of people, because they can and will make you sick. And, cancer is up 1,000% across the board. That's something to keep in mind. If you caught my opening with the Bill Gates information in the beginning, this information is really hard to come by. But as you saw, the people who are blowing a whistle on him are disappearing. Now, Dr. Robert Malone, he was co-creator of the mRNA technology. In 2019, he realized that they were going to be doing something really bad with this technology, and he started blowing the whistle. And since then, he's created a panel of over 100 doctors, and these doctors are the doctors who lost their license to practice because they were being honest about what was happening. And some of these doctors include, like Dr. Michael Yeadon, the ex-vice president of Pfizer. Another one would be Dolores Cahill, and she was a leading virologist for the whole world out of University of Dublin. And she noted back in 2020 that humans have what's called a red wine virtual enzyme, and it converts loose mRNA to DNA. And she thought they just missed it. So she was trying to warn them. And when they ignored her and didn't care about her concerns, that's when she realized what was really going on here. And she started blowing the whistle. And the University of Dublin fired her, and she was stripped of her ability to practice. So just keep that in mind, like if you just found this channel and you don't know anything I'm talking about, it sounds like some crazy conspiracy tinfoil hat stuff, and I get it. Go back through my highly censored updates and just watch away, because they're full of so much information. And it's not a bragging point. This is just to help people. And please help my channel grow. Share it. Spread it around. Let's get this news out. I mean, something has got to give. We all just can't sit here and be slaughtered off with this technology, because Daniel 11:31 states that eventually they will try to force this on every single person. They pollute the sanctuary of strength, which is your body. They remove the daily sacrifice, which is your VMAT2 gene. They set up the abomination that causes desolation, which is the antigen factor we spoke of. Okay. Now you take the 72,000 pure base bonds from the father, 72,000 pure base bonds from the mother, and that's 144,000. They're adding an additional 72,000 pure base bonds, making you the third temple. And this is why before the Queen died, the Queen of England, she showed that display of the 3 tiers going down her yard into the tree of life. And I'm going to show a video feed of this. This is their third temple. This is the third temple that the spirit of the Antichrist will stand in, because they removed your VMAT2 gene. If you've noticed, anybody that's taken these vaccines, their personality has changed. They are no longer who they used to be. Graphene technology is horrible. And also, too, I want to warn you folks, if you watch my show, you know that I was showing, I bought some pork that was magnetic, and it was from Ruler Foods, which is a Kroger offshoot grocery store. Well, most of the pigs are being given mRNA technology, and it makes their meat magnetic, and you cannot eat that. Okay, now you can't test meat with a magnet if it's frozen. Wait till it thaws and then test it. And if it's magnetic, it doesn't matter how much you paid on it. Don't eat it, because when a graphene molecule touches a neuron, it literally downloads the information from the neuron and then kills the neuron. You do not want graphene in your body. Okay. Keep in mind that Bill Gates and China owns a lot of our farms, and they're doing whatever they want with their food. Our food is so toxic. Genetically modified food uses the same graphene sealing process when they're making GMOs. You got to just really be careful and watch what you're putting in your body. Your body is a sanctuary of strength, and your body is a church of the Holy Spirit. This is the way it is. You got to protect your temple. Look forward to my next highly censored update, and I'm hoping I can have some time to push out another Infruition. I think I'm on Infruition 17.0 if I'm not mistaken. I haven't made one of those in a few years, and this is my second episode, highly censored update episode I've done since 2023. So I feel like I'm back. It's going to be slow moving because, I am running a restaurant, and it takes up a lot of my time. And that kills me because I love doing the show for you folks. But keep your head up. If anybody knows what happened to ODD TV, please reach out and let me know, because I'm concerned about him. And I feel like something bad happened to Payday Monsanto. If anybody has any information on that, neither. And if you don't feel comfortable telling me, that's fine too. But look forward to my new highly censored update. It's nice to be able to reach out to you guys again. Please share my information. I lost access to a lot of my channels after all this happened to me. I did relaunch a new YouTube, OTT TV Scripture Reality. I'll leave a link for that. It only has one subscriber. Help me out. Let's get this word out. You guys have a great day. God bless. OTT TV out.
To a human future is in our own imaginations.
Nobody does it like OTT TV.